Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a really fun challenge. It's called the Book Cover Telephone Challenge, and I was tagged to do this by Amanda at Book Lover Amanda, and I'm just so excited. This is a really fun concept, and I will link the original video down below as well as some of my favorite videos, some of my favorite people who have done this video. And I hope you guys go check them out because they were really, really fun to watch. And so I'll also be doing this, and basically it's a challenge where you are given a book to start with, and the book you start with was the last book from the person that tagged you. So when Amanda did this video, she had a list of 10 books that she was connecting based on their cover. And the very last book that she shared is the one that I'll be starting with for this video. So what you're meant to do is take the first book, connect it to another book, and you're using the different elements on the cover. So how do these two books, I guess, match or connect? You can look at the font on the cover, you can look at colors, basically anything that makes sense to you, and you just connect the books that way. And then from your second book, you connect that to another book and so forth. And you do 10 books for this challenge. So I have my list of 10 books here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start off with the last book that Amanda shared, and that is The Summer House by Lauren Denton. Now, I have not read this book, so I'll read the summary from Goodreads. So it says, "Sometimes it takes losing everything to find yourself again. Lily Bishop wakes up one morning to find a goodbye note and divorce papers from her husband on the kitchen counter. Having moved to Alabama for his job only weeks before, Lily is devastated, but a flyer at the grocery store for a hairstylist position in a local retirement community provides a refuge while she contemplates her next steps. Rose Kerrigan built the small retirement village of Safe Harbor years ago, just before her husband ran off with his assistant. Now she runs a tight ship, making sure the residents follow her strict rules. Rose keeps everyone at arm's length, including her own family. But when Lily shows up asking for a job and a place to live, Rose's cold exterior begins to thaw. Lily and Rose form an unlikely friendship, and Lily's salon soon becomes the place where residents share town gossip as well as a few secrets. Lily soon finds herself drawn to Rose's nephew, Rollins, a single dad and shrimper who's had some practice at starting over, and one of the residents may be carrying a torch for Rose as well. Neither Lily nor Rose is where she expected to be, but the summer makes them both wonder if there's more to life and love than what they've experienced so far." So that sounds like a really cute women's fiction, chick lit kind of book. It is also marketed as Southern fiction, contemporary Christian romance. So yeah, I think that sounds really cute, and I haven't ever read the book. I may consider reading it at some point. It's not typically my genre, but it does sound pretty good. So from this book, I had to find a book that I could find similarities with in terms of the cover. And this is a little bit of a stretch, but it makes sense to me. So I decided to go with The Lady's Mind by Francine Rivers. And the reason that I chose this book is because if you look at the cover of The Summer House, it has fairy lights, and like a little bit of a glare comes off of those lights. And to me, that's pretty similar to the sequins on this cover. And I'm not sure how well you can see, but there are sequins on this side, a little bit here. And to me, it just made sense. They have like a gold tint to them. I don't know, made sense to me. So this book is a Christian historical romance by a very well-known author within the Christian fiction community. And I actually enjoyed this, but not as much as I was hoping to. Now, I tend to ramble and kind of go on tangents when I explain plot summaries for books. And that's probably why my wrap-ups get so long. So rather than try to explain what each of these books is about that I'm gonna share, I will just read the summary because I just feel like it'll be faster this way. So for this book, it says, 1875. When Catherine Walsh arrives in tiny Calvada, a mining town nestled in the Sierra Nevadas, falling in love is the furthest thing from her mind. Banished from Boston by her wealthy stepfather, she has come to claim an inheritance from the uncle she never knew. A defunct newspaper office on a main street overflowing with brothels and saloons, and a seemingly worthless mine. Moved by the oppression of the local miners and their families, Catherine decides to relaunch her uncle's newspaper, and then finds herself in the middle of a maelstrom, pitted against Calvada's most powerful men. But Catherine intends to continue to stay and publish whatever she pleases, especially when she knows she's right. Matthias Beck, owner of a local saloon and hotel, has a special interest in the new lady in town. He instantly recognizes C.T. Walsh's same tenacity in the beautiful and outspoken redhead, and knows all too well how dangerous that family trait can be. While Catherine may be right about Calvados' problems, her righteousness could also get her killed. But when the handsome hotelier, don't know how to pronounce that, but when Matthias keeps finding himself on the same side of the issues as the opinionated Miss Walsh, Matthias's restless search for purpose becomes all about answering the call of his heart. Everyone may be looking to strike it rich in this lawless boomtown, but it's a love more precious than gold that will ultimately save them all. So this book is basically what it sounds like. It's a Western historical Christian romance, and that's about it. I wouldn't say it's like the most special book I've read. I've read some very powerful books by Francine Rivers, but this one to me was just a lot of fun. So I would recommend if you are into this kind of book, but it's just not anything, you know, out of this world. Anyways, so this book, I was struggling a little bit to figure out what to compare it to in terms of covers, because I don't have a lot of books that have similar covers. Like this one just has, I guess, like more simplistic elements, but I did find a book that kind of matches, and we'll just go with it. You can tell me if it makes sense. And that book is The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. The reason I chose this is because of the structure. So we have the title at the top, and then we have this circle in the middle, and then the author at the bottom. And I think they match. You know, title at the top, circle thing in the middle. I mean, this one is more of an oval, but yeah, I think they match. So I went with this one. And this one is an adult fantasy that is set in medieval Scotland. And this one I really, really enjoyed when I read it. So it says, "You are about to begin an extraordinary adventure. In a land of mountains and mist, tradition and superstition, Langorith and her twin brother Lilacin are raised in the old way of their ancestors. But the rise of a new religion heralds an era of disruption, bloodshed, and riot. When conflict brings the hero Emrys Pendragon to her family's door, Langorith finds love with one of his warriors. Her deep connection to Maelgwyn is forged by enchantment, but she is soon promised in marriage to the son of a Christian king. Together with her brother, a warrior and druid known to history as Myrddin, Langorith must fight for the preservation of the old way and the survival of her kingdom, or risk the loss of both forever." This was a really, really good book. If you like kind of Celtic-inspired fantasy, this is definitely one to be on the lookout for. So in terms of this cover, I was looking at the swords, and I don't know if you can see, there are two swords on both sides. And so for this, I found a book with a sword on it, more of a dagger, a really tiny sword, but it's fine. It matches in my opinion. And that is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And if you can see, there is a knife that is going through this letter here. And so I just went with it. I'm not going to read the back of this one because I have not read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and I heard it's one of Agatha Christie's best. And I typically don't want to know anything going into an Agatha Christie. So this one, I'm just not going to bother reading the back, but I've heard amazing things and I'm really, really looking forward to reading it. And so in terms of this cover, I decided to try to find a book with a letter, with letters on it, or an envelope or something like that. So this book has a collection of envelopes, and if you can see right there, and this book was gifted to me recently by Amanda, which, thank you again. I can't wait to read this. Lynn Austen is definitely an author that I have enjoyed in the past and want to continue trying out her books. So this one says, "Peggy Serrano couldn't wait for her best friend to come home from the war, but the Jimmy Barnett who returns is changed so drastically by his experience as a medic in Europe that he can barely function. When he attempts the unthinkable, his parents check him into the VA hospital. Peggy determines to help the Barnetts unravel what might have happened to send their son over the edge. She starts by contacting Jimmy's war buddies, trying to identify the mysterious woman in the photo they find in Jimmy's belongings. 7 years earlier, Gisela Wolfe and her family flee Germany aboard the passenger ship St. Louis, bound for Havana, Cuba. Gisela meets Sam Shapiro on board, and the two fall quickly in love, but the ship is denied safe harbor and sent back to Europe. Thus begins Gisela's perilous journey of exile and survival, made possible only by the kindness and courage of a series of strangers she meets along the way, including one man who will change the course of her life." This sounds really, really good. World War II historical fiction. I'm down for it. And so from here, I really, really struggled to find a book that matches. I was looking at this character, and she is by a window. So I went with that. And I found this book where the character is also standing by a window. You can see that. And so this book is one that I have read a couple years ago, and it is by an author who I so far really love her works. And this is the second book in a trilogy. It says Willa Forsythe is both a violin prodigy and a top-notch thief, which makes her the perfect choice for a critical task at the outset of World War I, to secure a crucial cipher key from a famous violinist currently in Wales. Lucas de Wilde has enjoyed the life of fame he's won, until now, when being recognized nearly gets him killed. Everyone wants the key to his father's work as a cryptologist, and Lucas fears that his mother and sister, who have vanished in the wake of the German invasion of Belgium, will pay the price. The only distraction he finds from his worry is in meeting the intriguing and talented Willa Forsythe. But danger presses in from every side, and Willa knows what Lucas doesn't, that she must betray him and find that key, or her own family could pay the same price his surely has. I loved this book. I'm still trying to decide if the first book in this trilogy or this one is my favorite, because they're both just amazing. So, like I said, I had paired this book with the previous one because they are two women standing by a window. But for the next book, I was trying to find a book that had some sort of like musical element. So in this book, you can see she's holding a violin. And so I luckily found another book that matches. And that is A Note Yet Unsung by Tamara Alexander. And if you can see, she is also holding a violin. I read this book years and years ago, and I don't really remember what it was about, but I do remember that I really liked the characters. I just don't really remember the plot. So to the back we go. So it says, a master violinist trained in Vienna, Rebecca Carrington manages to wheedle her way into an audition with the maestro at the newly formed Nashville Philharmonic. But women are far too fragile and frail for the rigors of an orchestra, and Rebecca's hopes are swiftly dashed because the conductor, determined to leave his mark on the world of classical music, bows to public opinion. To make matters worse, Adelicia Acklin, mistress of Belmont Mansion and Rebecca's new employer, agrees with him. Nationally acclaimed conductor Nathaniel Tate Whitcomb is Nashville's new orchestra leader, and despite a reluctant muse and a strange buzzing and recurring pain in his head, he must finish composing his symphony before the grand opening of the city's new opera hall. But far more pressing, he must finish it for the one who first inspired his love of music, his father, who is dying. As Tate's ailment worsens, he believes Rebecca can help him finish his symphony. But how do you win back a woman's trust when you've robbed her of her dream? Okay, so reading the back has triggered some memories about this book for me. So I do remember absolutely loving the interactions between Rebecca and Nathaniel, who she calls Tate in the book. I love the classical music aspect. I absolutely love classical music as a genre, and yeah, this book was great. I mentioned that I struggled with one of the earlier books, but this was definitely a harder one because I was really focused on her dress and like the silver and like the concert hall, and I was just struggling to find a book that matched. But I did find a book that has similar colors, so I'm going with the silver dress and the red that is in the concert hall. And I'm pairing that with Muse of Nightmares. Now, it is a stretch, but I don't care. The colors go together because we have a very red cover here, and we have a bird that is silver. The font is in silver and red. They're in the previous cover. I mean, you tell me if this makes sense to you, but it definitely makes sense to me. Either way, I can't really tell you about this book because it is the second book in a duology, the first one being Strange the Dreamer. That book I absolutely loved, and I think I loved this one a little bit less, but I still gave both 5 stars. They were just amazing fantasy books. And in the first book, we basically have a man named Laszlo who is on this journey to this mythical city called Weep, and there's just so much to uncover about this world. If you are interested in knowing more about the book, I will have the Goodreads link in the description box, as well as the Goodreads links for all the other books that I talk about. So if you'd like to know more about them, they will be in the description box. Anyways, so for this book, when I was trying to pick a book to connect to it, I decided to go with the bird. So I was looking at what books I have that have birds on them. And I've never talked about this next book on my channel, and now's the perfect time to do that. So I have The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. This book, I know I'm talking about another Francine Rivers book, but it is what it is. She's an amazing author. This book is so good, and it surprises me how much I liked it because it is contemporary romance, which isn't really my thing. But yeah, it deals with really difficult topics, and it just does it in a beautiful way. So definitely would recommend this if you are interested in hard-hitting Christian contemporary romance. So this one says, the ghosts of his past hold him captive. Her missteps bring her to his door. A successful Los Angeles artist, Roman Velasco, appears to have everything he could possibly want: money, women, and fame. Only Grace Moore, his reluctant, newly hired personal assistant, knows how little he truly has. The demons of Roman's past seem to echo through the halls of his empty mansion and out across his breathtaking Topanga Canyon view. But Grace doesn't know how her boss secretly wrestles with those demons by tagging buildings as The Bird, a notorious but unidentified graffiti artist, an alter ego that could destroy his career and land him in prison. Like Roman, Grace is wrestling with ghosts and secrets of her own. After a disastrous marriage threw her life completely off course, she vowed never to let love steal her dreams again. But as she gets to know the enigmatic man behind the reputation, it's as if the jagged pieces of both of their pasts slowly begin to fit together, until something so unexpected happens that it changes the course of their relationship and both of their lives forever. It is a very, very hard-hitting book and definitely one that is due for a reread soon. Just a little side tangent here. The art on the cover is real graffiti art. So I think Francine Rivers had some sort of competition set up where different people like designed the book cover as like graffiti artists, and this person who designed this cover ended up winning, and I just think this is so beautiful. From here, I didn't really want to pick another book with birds on the cover just because I felt like that was a little redundant, but I decided to go with the colors, and I really love the light blue and purple on this cover. I think it's stunning. So I found a book with blue and purple, and this is a book I have never read before. I think it's book 4 in a series. So it's book 3 in a series, and it is Royal Flush by Rhys Bowen. And this is, like I said, the 3rd book in the Her Royal Spyness mystery series. And it's a mystery series that takes place, I'm pretty sure, in the 1930s. And the protagonist, she's like an amateur sleuth, and she's also part of the royal family. So I'm definitely really looking forward to reading this series. But I picked this book because of the purple and blue on the cover. I just think it matches the previous book. You can see that. Purple and blue. Hopefully it's not too much of a glare, but it made sense in my mind. And so this is the last book. This is the book I'm ending the video with. I'm going to tag a few people, and if you have been tagged by someone else, I do apologize. Just ignore me tagging you. But I tag Katie over at Paperbacks and Ponytails, Gloria at Gloria Z Thompson, and also Taylor at Tales and Treats with Tay, and she is a newer Christian booktuber. Please subscribe to her. She is the sweetest. I love her videos. She only has a few out, but please go and watch them and also subscribe to her channel. She's awesome. And so I tag you ladies, and this is the first book if you would like to do this tag. No pressure at all, but this would be your first book out of 10. So this is where I'm ending off. So that's it for this challenge. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun filming and picking out the books and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as well, and thanks again so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching my videos, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!